Good morning, baker friends. I am up bright and early this morning baking gluten-free chocolate chip cookies. The reason for this, and I can't be too loud because my family's still sleeping, is because we are leaving for the beach today, this afternoon, and I wanted to take these with because I'm gluten-free, my sister-in-law's gluten-free, and I wanted to bring us some gluten-free chocolate chip cookies. So there you have it. So I've got everything out. This is what we've got. I've got my recipe here because I never remember my recipes except one, my banana bread recipe. That one's up here. I've got my coffee this morning because that's how early it is. So we've got 1 cup of salted butter, which is softened, a 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 cup of brown sugar packed, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 2 eggs, 2 1/4 cups of gluten-free 1-to-1 flour with xanthan gum, and a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. I've never put cornstarch in my chocolate chip cookies before, but I'm trying it today because I did some research and it's supposed to help keep the gluten-free cookies softer longer. So we'll see. I like to put cinnamon in my chocolate chip cookies, so I've got a teaspoon of cinnamon, I've got a teaspoon of baking soda. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sour cream for moisture, and chocolate chips, which is a mixture of milk chocolate chips and semi-sweet chocolate chips, because I like to mix mine together and not use one or the other. Okay, so we're going to start by putting our butter into the mixer, and I'm going to add my sugar. Actually, all my sugars, I'm going to add it in, which is the brown sugar and the white sugar. And we're going to get that rolling. Yes, I've used paper plates this morning because I wanted to have everything ready for you. Here we go. Coffee tastes so good this morning. Ever have that happen? Some mornings the coffee just hits better than others. Today's one of those mornings. I don't even have my hair done yet. You're getting the early version of Vienna today. After that's ready, we are going to add our eggs, which I've already cracked, and I actually added my vanilla to the eggs. I just tried to make it easy peasy this morning, as easy as possible. I didn't even prepare my baking sheets yet. I guess I should do that now. So pre-cut parchment paper sheets make your life so much easier. So much easier. All right, this is looking good. I'm going to turn it off for a second so I don't have to scream at you. So now I'm going to add in my eggs with the vanilla. I like to pop them in one at a time. Why do you pop them in one at a time, Deanna? I don't know. I just do. Okay, so the sides are filled with sugar and butter. So I'm going to do a little scrape. It's always good to scrape. Thankfully, my mixer reaches to the bottom. But some recipes I still scoop down. Looking good. Okay, now we are going to add our dry ingredients. I'm going to turn this down a little so that I'm not a big mess. I'm going to just send it in. All right. I was going to put this in the sink, but I get to throw it away. Okay, and oh, that looks good. I am going to now add my sour cream. So when you're baking gluten-free, you have to add a little extra moisture. This is actually my original recipe for my favorite chocolate chip cookies. So I've converted it to a gluten-free recipe. All right, I'm going to give her another little scrape here. It's looking nice. It's very light in color. All right, I'm going to let her roll. If I can get my spatula out. And then we're going to add our chocolate chips, which is going to be about 1.5 cups. Surprise! Minis! All right. Oh, for whatever reason, that mixer is loud to me this morning. So like I said, I've got a mixture here. So we're going to add 1.5 cups, and then we're just going to run the mixer until they're incorporated, because the dough is done. 1. And a big half. One can never have too many chocolate chips, right? I don't know. I guess you could, essentially. All right, we're just going to run this until it's mixed. Actually, this is the first time that I'm making my regular chocolate chip recipe gluten-free. I've not done it before. All right, let's clear this mixer off a little bit. Ooh. All right, tastes pretty good. I will taste it again. So the other day, my daughter has been wanting to earn her own money. She's 12. So she asked if she could bake chocolate chip cookies and take them around to the neighbors to sell them. So I said, sure. And then in my mind, I was thinking, whatever, maybe she doesn't sell, we could take with us to the beach. So I sat there. You can't see, but this is like a peninsula, and there's chairs. There's like high chairs over there. So I sat there and I told her what to do. She did it 100% by herself. The only thing I had to help her with was getting the pan out of the thing. And she walked around. Do you know she sold every batch of cookies? But my whole point in that was that I couldn't taste them because they were regular and not gluten-free. So I said, you have to taste the batter to make sure it tastes good. So she tasted it. She said it tasted good. A couple of the neighbors that I'm friendlier with, closer with, reached out to me afterwards and said how good the cookies were. I was really proud of her. She earned money for her to take. She wanted extra money to take on her beach trip with her this year. So I'm also a hairdresser. Not sure if you guys knew that. But I work at a salon here in Wake Forest. And she came with me into the salon a couple of days and swept and folded towels. She priced some inventory, cleaned some color bowls, things like that. And she earned money doing that too. So she's got a good amount of money on her Apple Pay right now. I'm proud of her. All right, so this is a 2-inch cookie scoop. I have 2 cookie scoops. I guess essentially they're ice cream scoops, but everybody uses them for cookies. I have a 1-inch and a 2-inch. Usually I use the 1-inch, to be honest with you, but for my cookies. But I've been using the 2-inch lately, and I like the size better of the cookie. And the cool thing about this is, now this dough seems a little softer than the regular cookie dough. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop, but I'm going to let these set for, 10, 15 minutes. Because with gluten-free baking, it takes longer for the liquids to absorb into the flour than regular baking. You have to let it sit a little bit. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and scoop it out. And I don't want to get this dirty. Hold on. And I like to put some sea salt on the top of my cookies. Sometimes I do it. I don't know. You know what? I'll do it before. Sometimes I do it before. Sometimes I do it after. We'll do it before today, since the cookies have to sit. It'll give me something else to do while I'm waiting. But the batter does seem softer than usual. Usually it's a little bit stiffer when I use all-purpose flour. Okay, so to make this recipe not gluten-free, what you would do is you would use 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You would remove the cornstarch. You would use 1 teaspoon of come on, Deanna, of extract instead of 2. And I can't remember if my original recipe has 1 egg or 2. I'll check, but you know what? It's all going to be written. I always write it. And if it's not written out, I include a link to my blog where I share 99.9% of my recipes. So yeah, there's that. But anyway, it's super easy to adapt either way. And we're trying these together today for the first time for the gluten-free version. But the original recipe, I've used for years. Years and years. All right. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and add my sea salt. Just a little. So I got my husband these sea salt grinders. Let's see. Nothing's coming out. Hold on. Oh my goodness gracious. We may not add sea salt today. Let me clean this real quick. You know, these were supposed to make life easier. Forget it. I have sea salt in here. I use, it says it's iodized salt, but it's actually sea salt, but it's a finer sea salt than the cracked. So I'm just gonna add a little bit. You know what? You just make it work. You know, you just make it work. So this is sea salt, but it's finer. Typically for cookies, I like to use, you know, the flaky sea salt. But like I said, you make do. You don't even need the sea salt. I just like it. All right, so I'm going to pop these in the oven. My oven is preheated. It's waiting for me. I'm going to pop them in there for 10, 12 minutes-ish. It depends. Over the years, my oven takes longer to bake than it used to. Used to be I would bake them for 10 to 12 minutes. Now I'm probably looking more like 12 to 14 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and pop them in, and then I'll be back. All right, my cookies have baked. Let me tell you what I did. I'm going to bring these over here for a moment. So they spread a little bit more than I would have liked. So what I did was I went and got a round cookie cutter, and as soon as I took them out of the oven, I formed them into circles. Boom, easy fix, nobody will know. Now here's the thing. I could have refrigerated the dough after I made the cookie dough. If I would have popped it in the fridge for probably about 30 minutes, chances are it would not have spread like this. But I didn't have time. I got somewhere to go. But the cookies came out really good. I'm going to show you one. They're still, hang on, they're still a little fragile. Let me see. They're warm. You know what? I'll just bring the pan over. I'll bring over the pan. See my cookies? So you can see where like some of the little edges came off, which I'm eating. But the cookies themselves look really good and they taste good. They're very light and airy. They're not like dense cookies. When I make them regular, they're a little bit more dense, you know, without the gluten-free flour, just regular all-purpose flour. But you know what? My sister-in-law and I, and probably the rest of the family, are going to love these. I don't know that I've ever made cookies so round because of the cutter. They look absolutely perfect. What a cute little trick. I picked it up from somewhere online. I didn't think of it myself. But I thought of it today when I needed it, so that counts, right? All right, so I have another batch in the oven. So this recipe made, let's see, 12, 24, about 34 cookies with the 2-inch scoop. So if you were to use a smaller scoop, you'd get more cookies. But I'll wait for those to come out of the oven, and then I'll pop back on and I'll show you how I, oh, I have this other one, hold on. How I shaped them, that's too hot, with the cookie cutter. Oh my goodness, my brain today, my brain. I think I'm in vacay mode. And I do want to actually try like a whole cookie, not just like a part that came off. So, so we can do that when I come back. All right. I'll be back in a few minutes when those are done. And then we'll call it a cookie day. Our cookies are done, and I'm going to show you how I shaped them with the cutter. So as you can see, they're touching one another. So what I've done is I take the cutter, like as soon as they come out of the oven, and I kind of scoot them down and make them round. I kind of move the dough into the cutter, so to say, and then push it down. And that's why I have some of those little edges, which is fine. I actually had a chance to eat them, and they were quite delish. So it takes, you know, a few minutes to do this, but you definitely want to do it as soon as you take them out of the oven, because as soon as the cookies start hardening up, it's going to be harder to do this, and you're going to wind up actually just cutting into the cookie and taking off the sides instead of being able to round them up. Does that make sense? I think it does, what I just said. In my mind, it made sense. So the cookies won't be pliable once they cool, and you're just going to push down, like, you know, and use a cutter like a cutter at that point. So we want to hit them while they're still warm. This way we can get as much of the cookie into the cutter as possible. All right, a couple left. And then you just have to let them cool on the pan. This one's starting to firm up. You want to let them cool on the pan before you move them. Oh, that worked out nicely. Just pushed it down with my hand. Flattened it down a little bit because they're still warm. So this, what I'm doing now is I'm just pushing down on the, like the raised part of the cookie to flatten it out. And it's working nicely. Now this one broke apart a little, so since it's still warm, I'm going to put it back together. No one will know. All right, friends. I am about 3/4 of the way done with my coffee. I do drink decaf, so it's not like it's energizing me, but it does wake me up, and I do love the taste. Okay, that's done. So these have to actually cool before I can move them, or they'll just break apart. All right, so let's taste one of our OG cookies. And I'm trying to find one that's kind of wonky shape. This one's pretty wonky. I'll bring it over so you can see it. This one looks like Pac-Man. But the cookie looks delish. Let's see. Let's break her open. See that? All right, I'm tasting. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, good. They're chewy, and I hate hearing people eat. I'm trying to eat as fast as I can. They're chewy and light. They're a lot lighter than your average chocolate chip cookie. Like, when I say lighter, I mean in texture, like airy, instead of dense. But they're loaded with chocolate chips. I love how you can see the shape of the chocolate chip on top of the cookie. They're good. I mean, does it taste like my original recipe? About 75% it does. But the texture of these cookies being just lighter and not as dense, you know, it changes it a little bit. I love them. I will make them again. And that's all she wrote. So I'm gonna let these cool. I'm gonna move these over. Actually, they're good now. I can move them over. And I'm gonna let them cool for a while because they're so fragile. There's no way I want to put them into a container, onto a plate, or anything until they're completely cooled. And then that's it. We pack them up and we go. All right, friends, thank you for being here with me today. If you've enjoyed this video, I would love it for you to subscribe to my channel, like my video, click the little bell, and you'll be notified whenever I post something delicious. Thanks for being here. Happy baking.